There's been decades of US interventionism in and around Xinjiang. I find that very frustrating as an American taxpayer who will never be able to afford a home. The fact that half of my tax dollars have gone to, one, destabilizing the region, and two, funding like these insane propaganda campaigns about the region, I find very frustrating.
Hello everyone, welcome to In Xinjiang, telling you the most truth about Xinjiang from expert eyes. And this is Eric, one of those expert eyes himself. Eric is an American content creator who's traveled across the continents, not to repeat narratives, but to write his own. So Eric, warmly welcome to Catch Xinjiang.
Thank you so much, thank you.
Yeah, okay. So is this your first time here in Xinjiang?
This is my first time here. This is a wonderful place. This is my first time in Xinjiang, first time in Kashgar, and it is, so far, fantastic.
So what was your very first impression of Kashi, of Xinjiang?
I feel like there's just history all around us. Everywhere I look, I feel like there's a new style of building that I've never seen before, and it all looks ancient. Look around us, it's insane. There's crazy buildings everywhere, and it's beautiful.
So have you ever heard about Xinjiang before?
Yes, I've heard a fair amount about Xinjiang, mostly from Western media, and I would say overwhelmingly, it's been like, this is a very scary place for many reasons, and frankly, in the short amount of time I've been here, it feels like that might not be true.
You visit several places here in Xinjiang. How do you like the people here?
Everyone has been incredibly friendly. Just before this interview, we were like dancing with like old heads, just completely unprompted. Everyone has been incredibly welcoming and incredibly nice, which is, I think, very surprising as an American coming here. I would expect a degree of resentment that I just simply have not seen at all, which has been shocking so far. It's been wonderful.
Yes, you mentioned that like in some Western reports, Xinjiang is always portrayed as like tense, oppressive.
Yeah.
So does this thing right now before you actually match those descriptions?
But from what I've seen so far, from the conversations I've had, it is simply not even close to what I have read from Western media.
So how do you think of the reasons causing this kind of strong contrast?
I think it's pretty simple. There's been decades of US interventionism in and around Xinjiang. I find that very frustrating as an American taxpayer who will never be able to afford a home. The fact that half of my tax dollars have gone to, one, destabilizing the region, and two, funding like these insane propaganda campaigns about the region, I find very frustrating.
Yeah, this is just the very first day here for you in Xinjiang.
Yeah.
And we're gonna explore more places, culturally, modern styles here for the next few days.
Yeah.
Let's see what will happen. So Eric, does the shift strike you from yesterday's ancient history to today's modern operational centers?
Yes and no. I think it's very interesting. The stuff that we learned about the old city yesterday was phenomenal, in that after devastating earthquakes, so many of the buildings have been rebuilt to still honor the culture, which kind of shocked me, but with like modern technology. And so coming here today, obviously we have this big, beautiful, brand new building around us. Definitely like it's a stark contrast, but it upholds the same sort of principles that we've seen where, you know, you retain the cultural heritage of a region while trying to improve the material conditions. And I think, you know, if you just look around and you see this brand new building, you might be like, wow, this is completely different. But I think it still honors that same sort of like path forward towards progress and ideally prosperity for all folks who live here.
So what do you think they each represent in Xinjiang?
I mean, clearly like the old city upholds the culture that has clearly been here for thousands of years at this point. And I think it's very interesting to see Uyghur folks playing music, dancing, and then at the same time be able to see like the fruits of their labor in a place like this, where not only can, you know, they have a great time practicing their culture, speaking their language, living life to the fullest in many ways, but also have the dignity to be able to own their own means of production, to have facilities around them that allow them to engage with the global market. That's fantastic to see, that sort of beautiful blend of culture, economic prosperity, the markets that have been opened up here.
So how do you evaluate the phenomenon that Xinjiang's products like this and this,
This is where the ad read starts.
Yeah, have been exported to countries around the world?
I think it's a pretty simple recipe that I think China's been following. You start with a low-level degree of manufacturing, you will improve upon it over time, especially with opening up in '78. Now the United States and the West more broadly have started to sanction China to make sure that China cannot operate in a free and fair manner. If they were to compete in an open and free and fair market with Chinese manufacturing, at this point in time, they would get destroyed. And so we have to play unfair games to ensure that American manufacturing or Western manufacturing can stay within its own ballpark, have its own set of rules that we can play by. But seeing products like this, either being manufactured here or distributed here or whatever it might be, clearly shows that there's a degree of prosperity that is growing very rapidly in this region. And I think that's so cool.
This morning, we've enjoyed the beauty of the ethnic musical instruments, and now we're in a world of painting. So what is your immediate impression of this?
I feel like every single one of these paintings, I mean, you can see like up here, every one of them is so colorful. And it's very interesting. I've never seen color palettes of this nature in a place like this. But I like it. I think it's very vibrant, it's very pretty.
Music, paintings, they are all forms of culture. So where do you think the vitality of the cultural forms in Xinjiang comes from?
I mean, I think if you just look at the paintings themselves, it seems pretty evident that they are showcasing their daily lives, the achievements of the society around them. And then, of course, additionally, I'd say the more sort of like softer parts of life where you go out dancing with your kids. If you have that ability to showcase that warm, beautiful parts of life in that capacity, it fills the canvas with it.
In some Western narratives, they claim that Xinjiang's ethnic groups' cultures are disappearing. So does those narratives match what you're seeing here?
From what I can see, everything has been a celebration of the culture thus far, and from everyone who I've talked to, it seems like there's Uyghur script everywhere, which goes against what I was taught back in the US.
From what you've experienced for these few days, how do you think of Xinjiang's culture?
From everything I can see, it seems like a beautiful celebration of the culture, and I think it speaks to the vibrance of the indigenous culture and how, just how it's developed over the years from so many external influences via the beautiful cultural exchange of the Silk Road. Clearly, the diversity here is shown all throughout each and every one of these paintings.